Are the gangs still actively involved in distributing drugs?
Yes, they are. And what we have is small little cells now instead of one big, humongous organization that bring in their own supply and so forth. And we go back to what we spoke earlier about the gangs in Salvador. Their connections to bring in. We have the airlines that are bringing in the coke in hidden compartments in commercial airlines and so forth.
So easy to do.
It's so easy to do, and it's just the borders in California. There's no borders.
What borders?
I know. So you can just bring out anything you want to bring. You can have all the. They would say, well, let's bring the war on drugs to the borders, when we can't even stop the illegal coming in.
No, illegal immigration, and again, we talked about this the other night. I don't care if they're Latino, Asian, or Eskimo, it doesn't matter. They have come into this country by the millions and have, as you know, literally bankrupted California. The burden on the state of California. And you made a point, Sully, you're of Latin ancestry, but you're an American. Your family have been Americans. You've served this country for generations. How the heck can people coming into this country from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Korea, from Guatemala, I don't care where, how can they come into this country and care about the history of this nation, care about our values, care about the Constitution, care about, as we talked about the other night, Ben Franklin, Tom Jefferson? How can people come in and be expected to be Americans? Answer, they don't, and they can't, and they won't.
Well,
with few exceptions.
Exactly. They have no concept of what it is. All it is an American where you're going to be able to make a better life of where you came from. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
You're coming up here to get a better life. Has nothing to do with who's president or Republican or Democrat or whatever.
It's all economics.
Nothing to do with it. It's
sure.
just another life they want to start. And you look at it's ironic. You look at the immigrants that came in many years ago, and a lot of it is crime that's coming into this country. The Marieles from the boats in Cuba, the Cuban exiles that came in the 70s. The Irish, the Italians,
sure.
It's all part of history that comes in. You have the Russian mafia now. You got everything that's coming in is.
It's never been though of a magnitude that we've seen. It has been overwhelming, and it has happened so fast in the last 10 or 15 years. Tens of millions of people. It's just truly amazing.
And it's going to continue to come, and it's not going to be able to stop it. And that's basically what's going to happen to this so-called war on drugs. It's going to continue. It's going to get worse. And the bottom line, I said in high school, you got two football players, one who works at Burger King until 10 o'clock at night, then comes home and works on his homework. Well, the other guy got a big bundle of money, a brand new pickup, and life's not fair.
You got it. Well said. Sully, there are so many drugs on the market now, new things coming out. There's a drug that is prescribed for terminally ill, often cancer patients, called OxyContin, C-O-N-T-I-N, O-X-Y-C-O-N-T-I-N. That has become a red-hot drug of abuse. There is always something new coming along. Pharmaceuticals, of course, looking for new painkillers all the time. Cocaine itself, though, has always been a rather mysterious kind of a plant. It doesn't seem to want to grow in the northern hemisphere. It's something I would have expected people with greenhouses to cultivate like marijuana, but they never did. It's if they come up with a way to synthesize hydrochloride, I guess the coke masters will be out of business. How does that work, Sully? Why can't they raise coca plants easily in the northern hemisphere?
Well, it's not, number one, that they can't. They can. The problem is it takes about 10 hectares of coca to make 1 kilo.
How big is a hectare compared to an acre? Give us an idea.
Acres and a half, but 2-3 acres. I mean, it takes.
So 30 acres of plants to make 1 kilo?
1 kilo of coca paste. And then you got to take it and make it into hydrochloride. It is just. And where in the world are you going to plant all those hectares without invisible from the air?
Well, see, you've answered something I've never known.
It just takes a humongous amount of coca leaf to make 1 kilo of coke. So it's just
well, that
very,
answers the
very
question.
hard.
about how much of Colombia is planted in coca.
Yeah, well,
Peru.
there's
millions and millions and millions of acres.
Oh, yes, and that's, then you have Peru, and then you have Bolivia, but, the numbers are the government numbers, which they try to...
Do we trust the government? Come on, folks.
No,
we don't trust any government.
He says we have a reduction of coca plantations, which we don't know unless you're out there counting, and it's not illegal to cultivate coca in South America. You got to get a license and so forth, and they've used it for many years, and take it for what it's worth. The problem is nobody's planting anything else like potatoes and corn and everything else.
No money in it, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
The risk is worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go say hello to Doug in Sheverstown, Maryland. Hello, Doug. Welcome to the program.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Hi.
My thought was about the Operation Just Cause. I remember there was a PBS program called in the 90s, and they would come up with, they have all kinds of video that was... Anyway, the story was the neighborhood of El Trio was leveled by this action by our military, and I remember this. They showed a gentleman who had lived in the neighborhood, and he's saying, "Look at this! It's destroyed. All of this for one man, and they don't have him." Someone explained this to me. And another part of the video was the Army. The story was that the Army was burying people in a mass grave. Upwards of 2,000 Panamanian citizens were killed by this operation, and it wasn't reported in this country. And the people that had this film, they said, "Why don't you report this?" Like say major news media say, "Well," and the response was, "Well, we have to rally around the flag." And I don't know if I have a point other than just I know the video I saw. These people they surrounded the military wanted the cameraman who was taking this video. The townspeople surrounded him and prevented the soldier from getting the videotape. But
right, it was called the video you're talking about is called Panama Deception, and basically there were thousands of Panamanians that were killed and murdered, and of course I've always been a big believer, and I had one CIA official that came up to me and basically told me with a lot of arrogance, he said, Sally, we own these countries. We built these countries. We elect the presidents of these countries. And nobody in the world is ever going to stop us. This is a CIA official by the name of Randy Capster who made that statement to me. And he was right. I saw it in El Salvador. I saw it in Guatemala, Panama, any South or Central American country we own. Because we are the ones that give them money for aid. The only person that I thought was going to stand up against the United States government was Chavez out of Venezuela. But then he gave in last couple of weeks when he was down in Canada. So, he gave in to the money. So it's just, those are our training grounds. Like they say, if you have no war, you got no good soldiers. If you have a war, you got good soldiers. And that's why the U.S. prolonged this war, so they could...
Do you see, actually, at some point in time, Sally, American military personnel being deployed officially to Colombia? Is it going to get there? We're going to do it with proxies and mercenaries.
Well, no, we're going to do it with American soldiers. We're going to bring them in, and a lot of people are going to get killed, and get whacked, but they're going to say,
we made the world safe for democracy in
Exactly. And we all know that even in a democracy, the militaries run the shows because the CIA
look at
runs
this
the
country.
whole operation.
Look who runs our government. It's not the folks in Washington, D.C.
No, it's not, and it's the military. And the military is always... Look at now. We got Cheney. We got Armitage back. We have all those crooks that used to work for George Sr. are working now.
It's the same old crew, right back
The same old crew. We saw it with Felix Rodriguez in Vietnam, Oliver North, and Sing Lop. All those guys came down to Central America, did the same thing, and they're now down in Colombia doing the same thing.
Take a shot here and ask you to comment on what you may have heard, connections or otherwise, about our former president's personal predilections toward illegal drugs. We have, of course, testimony from people that he has been involved with cocaine for many years, nasal problems, the works. Do you think that, well, let me ask you this. Do you have any confirmation of that from sources that don't have to be named here? What's your take on that? What was Bill Clinton up to?
Well, there's just so many rumors that you just can't...
Well, there's too many rumors to count. I know. Terry Reid said that he, of course, during his Arkansas days, had seen Clinton meeting in a World War II bomb shelter during the Mina days and all of that.
Well, that's yeah. Terry Reid, I did do a couple of shows with him, but that was at the time when Clinton was governor of Texas.
That's right.
I mean, of Arkansas.
Yeah, sure.
And but no, I don't. I'm sorry to say that I can't comment on that. All I know is that during the Bush era, I actually met President